Hello, everyone, and welcome to another SDGC Live. It is a Thursday night, if you can believe it. Apologies for the belated start. John had a horrible power surge literally right before we went live, and he's trying to figure out how he can get his setup back on. But obviously we have a show to do. The show must go on. We are joined this week by friend of the show, Josh, aka Anoriand. Josh, what's going on, bud?
Not too much. What's going on with y'all?
I'm doing just great. We have a fun show tonight. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been playing. We do want to take a few minutes to talk about probably my favorite news story of the week, involving the PlayStation VR. Yes, I think it'll be a good, shorter topic, but something well worth talking about. And then I want to take a little bit of time. We want to discuss kind of what 2024 looks like it has in store for us. Because we did get several announcements this week, but we wanted to say, like, hey, let's look at the landscape of what's coming out ahead. What does this year look like? What are we anticipating? Does this look like, all that kind of good shit?
Conspiracy theories.
Yeah. The last couple of episodes have all been about looking back at 2023. And this year we want to look forward to hopefully some positivity out of 2024. I would like that. We're going to need it. But before any of the news, I want to talk a little about what we've been playing. Josh, as our guest, why don't you go first? Tell us a little bit about what you've been playing. Oh, well, I see. I would get you while you're eating, of course.
Right. Well, I shouldn't have taken a bite that big. That's on me. Let me. Okay, now I can speak. All right. We were talking about this before stream. Basically, I've been streaming and honestly offline been hooked on Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. That has been, yes. In fact, I'm morbidly curious, so I'm going to pull it up to check something while we're talking.
Uh-huh.
Like a playtime something. But it is, oh God, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Anybody who's been like, wondering like, hey, how should I spend the dosh on this game? Yes. Now, granted, I am a massive Yakuza fan. For reference, again, the guardians of my desk, as they are known, are Quaxuma Kiryu and Goro Maji Mallard.
Shut the fuck up.
Listen.
Amazing.
I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. Okay? But, oh man, I cannot tell you this game. So I brought it up so I could check. I am 81 hours into the game. Now, I just hit the finale chapter. And to be fair, I am doing all the shit. Okay? If there's a side quest to be done, if there's something to do. And mind you, when I say I'm doing all the shit, I did not do all the shit. I'm doing. Because of the amount of shit they added into this game. So, in the last one, they introduced the concept of Sujimon, which the various enemies you fought were Sujimon. Suspicious, jittery monsters of men. And so, like, you had a whole dex you had to fill of enemies you defeated and what have you. Well, in this one, you go to Sujimon Generation 2. Because, of course, you go to Hawaii, the land of sun and moon.
Oh, my God.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
We're here, motherfuckers!
So in this one, you can assemble a 3-man Sujimon team. There's a whole side quest doing that, of going through Sujimon battles. Okay? In this one, like, there is a whole side mini game called Dondoko Island. It's fucking Animal Crossing. It's just Animal Crossing.
What are you talking about?
Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, what I've been playing.
Oh, okay.
It's just Animal Crossing. It's an island, like, you clear away trash, you harvest wood and stone and all this shit. You build structures. You invite people to.
Shut the fuck up.
You invite people to. You've been here 48 seconds and you already want me to blow you. Okay.
Tax is coming up, baby.
Later. Exactly. We're gonna see each other in a month. Later. Anyways, there's just so much, but it's one of those things where it's not felt like a drag. And I'm a dad. I need you to understand, most times when a game comes out and they're like, this is 120 hours, that's not a sales point. That's a threat.
Yeah.
But this one, it's been one of those things where, like, I'll have 2 days after a stream where I can, like, do side shit, and then I run out of things to do, and I'm like, okay, but why isn't it stream yet so I can continue? Because it's just, every time you turn around, there's something that makes you go, oh, I need to keep going. Oh, I need to keep going.
You know how I can
Oh,
tell this is a good game? Is even the greatest games, you always have those few people that are like, it wasn't for me, this was mid, overrated. Literally every single person I know who's played this game, whether they're a fan of the series, whether it's their first game, every single one of them I've heard nothing but, oh my god, this game is fucking amazing and I love it. Every single one.
Genuinely.
That never happens.
Yeah.
The only people who I've ever heard complaining are the same ones who I know who complained about Yakuza Like a Dragon, who complained about 7. And it's just I don't like I love Yakuza, I don't like turn-based games. But I will tell you, even that is a slim number, because there's a bunch of people who I've seen say, I don't really like turn-based games, but I play this one.
Yep.
Like, it's just, there's something about it.
It's the fucking
so
characters in the
good.
writing. It's what happens when you have genuinely some of the best writing in the industry consistently, game after game after game.
And not to get into the topical thing about it all, but like, have you heard about layoffs at RGG anytime recently? Because
Nope.
I haven't. And boy, would you fucking look at that.
Do you
that's
think
great.
that employees who are secure in their jobs and content and get to make games can make better games than
Working
people who
on
like
one
think they're going to be on the street tomorrow?
Wow.
Working with one engine, game after game,
Yeah.
and mastering the strengths of it, and you have one consistent team.
Now that you have fucking said something though, dude, like
No, not RGG. Not gonna happen.
I
not
fucking
gonna happen.
hope not.
No.
I hope.
There are very few companies that I have that much faith in. The way they run their shit and the strength of their model, that is one where I would be shocked.
I think Sega knows they can't touch RGG, right? Even the most cynical, out of touch C-suite executive is looking at the RGG studio and going, we can't fucking touch that.
Sega knows we got 3 things right now. We got Sonic, we got RGG, and we got Atlas.
We
And
lost.
probably maybe in that order, because Atlas releases go bigger, but they're not nearly as consistent.
Right.
So it's probably in that order.
Mm-hmm. Would not.
Do
be
I look like
surprised.
I'm in a cyberpunky dystopia?
Well, whenever you finally come through, you
No,
do.
because your lighting is not nearly good enough to be using virtual backgrounds.
I'm stuck between worlds.
I'm so glad you're here, John. Hey, John, before I ask you what you've been playing, did you ever install the drivers for your Scarlet interface?
I did actually.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Okay. I'm glad I didn't bet money. John,
Well, suck it. I guess, Derek.
what you been playing?
So I got a Steam Deck OLED about a week ago, and I've done nothing but fucking play that shit. Specifically, I've been playing Final Fantasy VII, the original. And I should finish it up tomorrow night. Steam Deck OLED. So dude, like, Derek has been trying to bring me over to his side of the fence on these matters for quite some time now. And I have resisted the call. Okay, for a long time, I have resisted the call. But somebody said, John, once you play your RPGs on a Steam Deck OLED, you're never gonna go back to playing those on a Switch or even a PS5. And I was like, all right, challenge fucking accepted. So I grabbed a Steam Deck OLED, and I got to tell you, playing Crisis Core on a handheld on an OLED screen at 120 frames a second fucking changes a man. It does something to your psyche. It takes you and it wipes away everything that you were before.
I can't believe Derek slipped John the 120 FPS pill.
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago, he's like, I can't tell the difference between 30 and 60, whatever.
Like I booted up the demo for Octopath Traveler 2 and played that motherfucker at 90 frames a second. I was like, I was like, I've become something more than I was.
And John will tell you multiple times I've tried to push him down exactly this path with exactly this hook, right? I showed him Ace Combat, I showed him Resident Evil 2, right, running at 120 plus FPS. I was like, John, look at what PC hardware can do for you.
Here's the thing. I'm going to play 99% of Steam games on my Steam Deck.
Sure, because you're also you're a handheld dude. Yeah.
Dude, but fuck, dude, Derek, Resident Evil 2. I was playing Resident Evil 2 Remake at a buttery 60 frames a second on a fucking handheld.
Yeah.
With an OLED screen. What the fuck? Not only that, but it takes games that are designed to run at 30 frames a second and just plops them down into 60 frames a second, like Final Fantasy 13 runs at 60 frames a second. Final Fantasy 12 runs at 60 frames. These are games that now I need to try Okami, because Okami HD is on the Steam store.
Okami HD is like engine limited on its frame rate though, so
I'm sure there's a fucking hack out there.
There's
somewhere,
not.
Derek.
Trust me, dude. Trust me. Look into my eyes. Right.
You've gone down this path.
That is like my white whale. Is I would murder somebody to get Okami in like 140 frames per second, but it is locked at 30, like in the engine in a way that cannot be fixed. So.
I'm not a big handheld person, and like I probably won't get like a Steam Deck. I respect it for what it is, but I do think it's very cool and exciting that like it feels like we've been chasing this handheld PC dream for so long. And like there's like different stuff, like we had the NVIDIA Shield things and things like that. But like to see, and I know the Steam Deck isn't perfect, but to see like a competent and relatively well polished system like this that can do what it does in the form factor it does for like not cheap, but like a reasonable price for what you're getting.
So Jeff, I paid like $550 for this thing, right? It's
I know a Switch is a hybrid console, but like, you know, like the OLED Switch is what, I don't know, how much US is that?
$350.
$399. And there's Jeff, you can get a dock for this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And play it on a TV, right? You know, the improvements go beyond just the OLED screen too. Like as opposed to the Wi-Fi of the Steam Deck, you know, OG, this has Wi-Fi 6E, which is, I can attest, is 10 times faster. I downloaded Final Fantasy 15, which is a, 80 gigabyte game in about 45 minutes on a handheld. Like that's fucking insane. It's quiet. It's much, much, much quieter than the original Steam Deck. It's lighter. The games look better because of the OLED screen, and they run slightly better. Like this is basically like a mid-gen refresh, I would say, for whatever. I don't know if you'd want to call it's not really a console, but it also kind of is, because it is a handheld PC, but you're not like, you can't, it runs on Linux, right? Like it doesn't run on Windows. So you're not getting a full PC experience. Like you can open it up into desktop mode and I guess connect a keyboard, but you're a fucking huge loser if you do that. Don't do that with your Steam Deck. But dude, I'm telling you right now, like after this going forward, all my major RPG releases, granted that they are not locked to like, PlayStation 5 or whatever, like Final Fantasy 16, I will be purchasing on my Steam Deck, because now that I've played Live Alive at 90 frames a second, I'm a completely different person.
I'm hoping so hard after years of all these Square releases being stuck on PC and John begging for them to come to Switch. I think it'd be the funniest fucking thing if they just started putting stuff out only on Switch.
They have to fucking hit PC first, because like goddamn FF7 Rebirth is about to come out on PlayStation only. And like, there's a part of me that wants to wait until it hits PC, just like on principle.
The performance mode sounds kind of rough. I'm trying to hold out for PC or PS5 Pro.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a year. There's no fucking way.
It's gonna be a year and a half probably. But like, I'm this is such an aside, but like, I'm genuinely fucking sick of specifically like the Square Enix and Sony relationship that keeps their shit off of even PC for so long. And like, it's very scummy.
Like, I don't know, can't really talk about it. I guess just wait and see.
Yeah.
They even updated the picture remasters to be on par with the console versions. You can go back and select the classic music. Like it's just Derek. I was wrong. I was wrong, Derek. I was wrong. Okay. I was wrong. I'm here now. Look at this. Everybody's coming into chat looking for the Goon Squad. The goons are gooning.
No, there's no
Like,
gooning occurring here,
John,
John.
Hey,
Shut
get
the
ready to
fuck
Do you know
up.
what gooning means?
The worst
Oh,
part, he
yes.
does.
Okay.
No,
Oh, yes.
not occurring here. Shut the fuck up. Besides, everyone
It's
knows
what
the
you-
real.
It's what you did in that one chair in Cali.
No,
that was my chair. Okay, let's
That
be
was
clear.
Derek's chair.
Oh, I
That was
thought you two
Derek's
took
chair.
turns.
Yeah.
The other thing, Derek. The
There
other
was a
thing, Derek,
timeshare agreement.
there is one more thing I want to say about the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And it's Steam has a history of kind of abandoning their, like, we all remember the Steam box, right?
Most people
Like,
do not, in fact, remember the Steam machine.
I was
That's
about
the
to say,
whole
I think
point.
a lot don't.
And,
Steam controller.
And so I do think, I think Valve is a lot more serious about Steam Deck than they were the Steam box. I just want them to I want them to continue iterating on this because it really is a wonderful fucking device, and I think they probably will. They've already said that they're working on a Steam Deck too. I think they said that's like 4 years out. Yeah, I would agree with Roaronado and Chad. I think the Steam Deck is here to stay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, great little fucking device. The other thing I've been playing was the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo, and I'm not going to get into any story stuff here whatsoever. I'm just going to talk about Jeff taking his headphones off because he does not want to listen to this. I will be brief. I'm just going to talk about gameplay and visuals. It basically drops you off on a small part of the open world around Junon, which is everybody who's played the original knows is the big Shinra city. With the big gun on the walls. I got to tell you. Like I don't get, like some people are saying, oh, it looks ugly and blurry in performance mode. I don't see it. It runs great. It looks fine to me. Like I don't.
From what I saw,
maybe-
though, I believe they did say they sent out an update even to the demo.
They
address
did.
performance mode, so it may be that you're seeing it after the fact.
No, I mean they did. And I it's not the performance mode is what it is, right? Like it's performance mode for a reason. It prioritizes frame rate over visual fidelity, and there are definitely some textures that look a little muddy, but I'm also not the kind of guy who's just going to sit there and do you remember Puddlegate for Spider-Man?
I wish I didn't.
Fucking puddles. Like I'm not one of those guys, right? Like I'm not somebody to be like, the water refractions on the lake here. I see a lot of anti-aliasing, and like they go full digital foundry on the shit without really knowing what they're talking about. And so I'm not somebody who obsesses over stuff like that. It looks great. It runs good. It runs great. The combat in this fucking game is so much more in depth, and there's so much more meat on the bones than there was in Remake. Everything feels instantly familiar, but also very, very new, if that makes any sense. Because, for example, you're playing as a new character, like Red 13 is a new character, and he's very, very fun to play as. He's like a ninja. He's like a ninja dog. But there are now there's like dual attacks, and there's Derek. I'm sorry, Chadley's back.
I don't actually hate Chadley. It's just a bit.
I think part of you does hate Chadley.
Not really.
I think part of you does hate, but he's also got a sister now, Derek.
I might hate her. I don't know.
Derek.
I might have to change the bit up.
She's a handheld sister named Mai. And she's literally basically for Chadley's sister, and she's the one who tracks like there's like a mark system, where you go hunt notorious monsters, and there is there's basically a way she's like a little handheld device, and she is the one who tracks that shit for you. It's very, very good. Obviously everybody has seen the reviews. You can tell Jeff, you can put your headphones back on now. I'm done talking about the demo. Somebody tell Jeff to put his headphones on. He's is he playing?
He's not looking at the screen.
He's
He just
playing
needs
Flight
to look
Simulator.
back because this is
He's
his
playing
signal.
Flight Simulator.
He
That's
might
what
be.
he's doing.
He might be, but when he looks back and he sees
Jeff,
I'm just
everybody
waving
raise
it
your thumb.
around.
Everybody put your thumbs up for Jeff.
Everybody give a big thumbs
Jeff.
Hey,
up.
before Jeff comes back, Let me. Oh, hang on. No, he's here. No, he's not.
Jeff,
Maybe,
he's not.
no,
He's
not yet.
flying. He's playing Flight Simulator.
He's here. He's here.
You're
He's
playing
here.
Flight Simulator, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, don't fucking lie.
No, my shit's all like boxed up right now. So
Mhm.
promise.
I was just gonna say we've. I'm done talking about the demo, Jeff. I was just gonna say that we've all seen the reviews, and apparently this game is very fucking good.
Yeah, they were talking about it in the Discord. I was like, I've never been less interested in reviews for a game than 7 Rebirth. Like I was already in, but I'm glad reviewers like it.
Here's a fun little tidbit I found out earlier. It is the second highest rated FF of all time.
What's the first?
6 games in the series have ever broken a 90. 6, Endwalker, 10 and 12 all got 92s on Metacritic.
Reasonable.
Rebirth has a 93, and 9 stands alone at the top with a 94.
Justice.
It hasn't aged well, though. It hasn't aged as
Yes,
well.
it
as
has. 9 is
Yes, it
beautiful.
has.
Shut the
I'm
fuck
gonna
up.
disagree there.
So
I played it like 2 years ago.
But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see Square firing on all cylinders. Like first Final, like I loved Final Fantasy 16. I'm sure I love this. Like it feels like a really good time to be a Final Fantasy fan. You know?
Okay.
You got Dawn Trail coming this year. Yeah.
We've managed to spend 30 minutes on 2 people.
Good.
It's
fine. It's fine. It's a light show.
I'm just
Good.
I would like to take a moment to talk about to continue talking about Persona 3 Remake Reload.
Oh yeah. I still have not played this.
That's what I've been playing too.
Yes, this is good. So me and Jeff can both talk. So Jeff, last week I mentioned that it's the only thing I had been playing. It is still the only thing I've been playing. Last week I was of the position that like, yeah, this is a good RPG. Like it's good. It's Persona, but I never really got very far in Persona 3 on the PlayStation 2. So I don't know it very well, and I certainly don't have the attachment to it a lot of people do. So I came in to Persona 3 Reload and was like, I'm really not seeing the magic that so many people say this is like the one. Like Persona 4 and 5 are for fucking babies, and Persona 3 is the real shit.
I didn't know that. So like I'm new to this one. Like I've only played Persona 4 Gold, and I didn't even know that 3 had like I barely had heard of it. So I didn't know it has this like would you say it's like a cult following, or like is it considered like
I think among like hardcore like Persona and Shin Megami Tensei fans, it has that reputation.
Okay.
From people who have played it, right?
Yeah.
So like I said, last week I was like, I'm not fucking seeing it. I'm gonna say this week, I'm starting to see it. I don't
How far are you? What month?
I'm in November.
Oh, okay, so you're way ahead of me.
Yes, I mean, several months ago I started to see the vision, right? But what I am beginning to understand is the stuff that makes Persona 3 special is stuff that's not apparent at first, right? It very much is the way that its story, its characters, all revolve around a very singular theme that is handled in a very mature way. You know, in that, it completely revolves around the theme of of death, right? Of the fleeting nature of life. And I think that rather than seeing Persona 3 as like the best and most mature one, I think I see it as being like 3, 4, and 5 are all very different in what they are setting out to be tonally. And I think it's that people who played 3 were looking for more of that and were not ready to accept 4 and 5 being something different. But I do see how Persona 3 is special. That said, my complaints about the social links last week have only been exacerbated as I get further into more of them. Persona 3 loves to have social links that are like, hey, what if there was a dude who sucked? What if there was a guy who just gobbled absolute shit and you had to be friends with him, and he never got better. He only gets worse. And in fact, you have
Are
to
you
suck
talking
up.
about your one classmate?
No,
who's,
there's
like,
so many of them,
obsessed
Jeff.
with the girls?
Although
Okay.
that dude also, yeah, like he's one of them, but he's not even
Yeah.
he's not even the tip
I'm
of the
at like level
iceberg.
5 now, and I'm waiting for the turning point. I'm like, oh my god, this guy's still.
He's not even the tip of the iceberg, Jeff.
Oh, no.
The fucking student council, fucking disciplinary committee dude. Somebody needs to put that dude in a toilet.
Doggy or
I don't remember his name
Yeah.
because I don't want to hang out with him, and I'm saving
Yeah.
him for as late as I can. The
I hate that
fucking
my brain does the thing where like I check with everyone and I can't advance anything, and then there's the one dude who sucks, but it says I can grow close to him. I'm like, I guess I have to hang out with you to get the numbers to go up.
Exactly. The fucking the gourmet king, so fucking bad. So
I
fucking
talked about
bad.
that in the Discord. I didn't know you talked about it on the show, but I was talking about the Discord, and everyone's like, "Yeah, Derek's got your back." Like,
There is a
I was like-
great plot twist halfway through, but the problem is, while it's a great plot twist, it just takes a guy who sucks and turns him into a guy who sucks so much worse than you could ever imagine. Hey, would you like to suck up to like a con artist, and the whole story arc is just the con artist going like, "Hey kid, you suck shit like me. I like you." Persona 3 has your back. Would you like not one, not two, but 3 fucking separate social links that get really uncomfortable about romance with minors? Persona 3 has your back.
Well, hold on. I thought they fixed a bunch of that stuff.
No, they removed a transphobic scene, a famously transphobic scene, in a way that I enjoy, and like the way they changed it made that scene infinitely funnier, because transphobia is not funny, and making fun of weird conspiracy theorists is always funny. But no, there's 3 separate social links. There's 2 that involve romance with teachers, which is twice as bad as Persona 5.
I was going to say
Yikes.
Persona 5 does that exact shit.
Yeah, and frankly, Persona
With
3 is
Kamikami.
more gross about it. And there is the social link with the like 8-year-old girl. And like,
Oh, they kept that, huh?
Is that the one at the shrine?
yeah, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I love that social link all the way till the end. It's a little awkward at first because you're like, I'm going out for burgers with an 8-year-old. This doesn't feel right. People should be questioning this. Somebody should be calling the cops on me.
Yeah, I remember that from Portable.
But it's a great story arc all the way up to the end where she asks you to marry her when she gets older, and your only 2 responses are yes and I'll think about it. No.
Why can't I just
The
say no?
answer's no.
I just want to say no. That's all I want.
No, bud, I'm not promising to marry the 8-year-old girl I've been hanging out at the playground with as a high school junior. Not fucking happening.
We got a question in chat, Derek. Is
Romance is not still mandatory in the remake. Famously, there's 1 or 2 social links where you have to romance to see them through. You don't have to do that anymore. But yeah, but the thing is, the other side of that is some of Persona 3's social links are some of my favorite in the series. The Sun social link specifically is beautiful. It is heart-wrenching and beautiful and poignant. And there's several really good social links. It's that there's also a lot of them that are like, hey man, what if we punished you? What if we made you feel bad for pressing the X button a bunch of times? Because we're gonna do it. Yeah, I don't know. I do really like Persona 3 Reload. I just don't think it belongs on a pedestal if you're gonna be honest with yourself. It's good. It's just not better than the other games.
I mean, it's beautiful for one thing.
Yeah.
I don't have like super complicated feelings on it. Like I said, like maybe I will once I'm in June right now. So I don't know when I'll get to like that part, Derek, that you're talking about. But like overall, my thoughts have been like
You're
the
getting
characters
close.
are growing on me. Like it's hard because in hindsight, I completed Persona 4 Golden, so I've seen those characters through to the end, and I'm basing these characters on like, you know, I've seen 10% of the story with them. So my initial thought was like, they're good. They're not as engaging as like some of the characters from 4. Initially, I kind of liked the like missing person detective vibe of 4, whereas I wasn't really sure where this one's going.
4's
but I
mystery and energy hit you very quickly and gives you the driving reason versus Persona 3 is a very slow burn. You are easily like halfway through the narrative before shit starts to click and you go, oh, I'm in it now.
But I like about the structure of it, and like again, like people know, like honestly, if I could play one of these games without fighting a single battle, like I'm just here for the vibes and the social links and to like go to school and do the stupid shit. Like, yeah, and like people know famously, like pre Persona 5, the dungeons are not considered the highlights. Like fours were very samey, and 3, which I didn't know anything about, is one long dungeon that's like 260 floors. And very samey, but like the nice thing I like about the structure, like especially compared to 4, is like they still have like these kind of hard dates where things happen, but it feels a bit more freeform in terms of like when I can go into it and what I do in there and how long I'm in there.
Yeah.
And it's very low stress and easy to manage my time, where I'm like, I can fuck around with social links and I don't have to do fucking shit for 3 weeks. And yeah, I'll go in now and do 10 floors and clear it out, and like I'm not really punished for it. I think it's really like flexible in terms of like how you can spend your time in the game, and I really appreciate it.
I do also like that the structure of the game is not as uniform as 4 and 5 are. Like 4 and 5, for the first like half to 2/3 of the game, right? It goes dungeon where you get a new character, dungeon where you get a new character, dungeon where you get a new character, and it's the new person's mini story arc. And 3, like it's just, hey, climb the fucking tower as you can, and characters kind of just join. Like at first, characters join, like your first new person comes in as a result of like the end of a phase, but then you just start getting people halfway through, like unceremoniously, like, oh yeah, this fucking dog's gonna fight with us now. Hell yeah!
Oh, the dog joins you. That's so exciting.
Yeah. The little Shiba with the red eyes.
Yeah.
He's incredible. He's my favorite. Yeah, it's great. I love that, and I love the way that it plays with that looser structure. Like I do think that's a strength to its benefit that I'd like to see Persona 6 like pick up, right? Seeding a little bit more foreshadowing about what's going on with characters, like as small things in advance, instead of going like, we are now getting into the Junpei story arc. So yeah. Persona 4 Reload good.
Last 2 shoutouts I want to give to it, which like basically apply to the series from what I've seen. Like I played 5 hours of 5, played all 4, is 2 things I love. You can basically save anywhere, like outside of the dungeon. Like I could save pretty much at any time, which is very respectful of my time. And it's got difficulty options, and you better fucking believe I'm playing on like super easy. I don't have to grind for 20 hours. Like it's great that all those options are there for people that want to, but I can just get in and enjoy the story and do my thing. So I'm always going to sing the praise of games that do that.
So, are you guys ready for the inevitable Persona 4 Golden remake?
I'm in.
Yes,
Like,
and it's going to be the
happen.
funniest thing in the world.
What's that, Derek?
It's going to be the funniest thing in the world, because I think that the biggest problems, it's guaranteed. The biggest problems with Persona 4 at this point are things that I don't see getting fixed without
like
drastic. Well, it's Kanji and Naoto, right? Like you need to heavily rewrite elements of Kanji and Naoto, and because I think Yosuke can get fixed. It's pretty easy to fix Yosuke being a homophobic shithead. He just doesn't have to be.
I don't think they intended to write him as homophobic. I think that,
well, considering that he was a romance option that was cut, he was clearly meant to be a self-hating, like in the closet type. But unfortunately, A, that's still uncomfortable for many folks, and B, like when the romance gets cut, he's just a homophobe.
I mean, this is also a game that was written in like what 2003, 2004.
Sure.
So
well, and also like the writer of Persona famously
they
fucking hates queer people. So
right,
and
like
also gay people weren't invented until 2007.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
As we all know.
Like I agree. They
Obama hadn't put those chemicals in the water yet.
Right.
Oh,
there are all the frogs were fine at this point.
Yeah.
They were fine back then.
But yeah, I don't.
There are absolutely elements of Kanji and Naoto that need to be addressed.
Yeah,
sure.
Kanji just needs to be gay. Like you can't. His story arc is you can't pull back at the last minute and be like, actually, it's just that I like feminine things. It's like, no, actually, I do like pounding men. Like Kanji. That's if they.
Could you look in the camera and say that again?
I like pounding men. Naoto is more difficult because Naoto is in this messy area of gender where no matter what they do with that story, they're going to piss some folks off. And I just don't see them being willing to make major changes. But it's also like, I think a Persona 4 remake is more interesting because like, what do they keep Marie, or do they cut her, or do they find a better way?
They're not going to keep. They're not.
Or do they
her.
find a way to better integrate her and her story arc into the game instead of it feeling slapped on? Like, I don't know. It would be interesting, huh?
No. So to answer our question, chat, no. Canonically, Kanji is not gay.
Kanji's not gay.
They
He's not
explained
gay.
in the game is he just likes feminine things.
Yeah.
Or things that
He just likes sewing and making
things
cute.
that certain no, Derek, let's specify. Things that certain elements of society think should be feminine.
Yeah.
Right. Like I personally don't think there's anything wrong.
And even then, the
or
feminine thing
emasculating
seemed to
about
just
a guy
be
wanting to like sew. I don't think
Right,
there's anything
that
wrong
he-
with that. But
craft
I think
stuffed
the problem
animals.
with Kanji is that he's in Persona.
Well, right.
Because like as written, as the whole I'm not gay but I like these things, is that you're in Persona. If you were not in a series that had such a fucking problem with LGBTQ identity, if Kanji was in Yakuza, I'd be like, okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
like sewing and cute shit.
But also,
whatever,
like,
and
his story
and
wouldn't have-
also has a girlfriend. Like,
Yeah.
you fit right the fuck in this place. Who cares?
Right.
But
But
you have a
Yakuza also
series
wouldn't
where
have
they
had
go
him-
They wouldn't.
Yeah,
But
they
I'm
wouldn't have
saying,
had
like,
him be
even
in a
if-
bathhouse and like, you know, have his boss fight be a giant burly man holding two
Right.
male symbols with
Only
a
two
wreath
male
of roses,
symbols, yeah.
surrounded
well, and
by
Exactly.
other
also-
oily
What it
men.
is like, it's just one of those things where it's like, there are other series where you can be like, we're gonna have this, and it's just soft boy. It
Thank
is just
fucking God
soft boy,
Hashino's gone.
and that's fine. You cannot do that in Persona. You
Didn't-
just can't.
I love that Kanji's but like Shadow Kanji has like two additional enemies called like Nice Guy and there was Nice Guy
like
and
rude
like
guy or something.
no, it was like Shy Guy or
I don't remember.
or so yeah, something like that. I
Here's
was
the
like,
good
wow,
news.
there's-
Hashino can't hurt us anymore. He's off the Persona team. Bad news. Everyone excited for Metaphor, Project Refantasia or whatever it's called? That's Hashino. So get ready for somehow the most transphobic shit you've ever seen
Somehow.
in the year 2024.
That shit's gonna show up in
They're
there
gonna
for
find
no good
some ways-
goddamn reason.
There's going to just be one random scene out of nowhere where a character turns to the screen and is like, by the way, gay people are all pedophiles. Back to the
There's-
story.
There's
Like,
going to be one random fight against like a female shaped enemy, and the enemy's name is going to be like Hazadik.
We
like just
I hate
it's going
you.
to be some shit where
I
you're
hate
just like,
you.
communed, and as a special treat, we communed with the spirit of Sugiyama, who will be providing the orc music from Beyond the Grave.
like, come on. He just does it. And you just be like, wow, where did this come from? And it's just
Yeah.
like,
So Derek,
Damn.
are we going to talk about hype shit in 2024?
yeah, let's talk. Well, so
Yeah, we are.
first, I want to talk a little bit about this this PlayStation VR thing. Because that'll be a shorter thing that we can get through.
Nothing about this.
It's really simple, right? Because Jeff dropped the link. Otherwise, I would have missed it entirely. So
It's they kind of buried the lead in that blog
Right.
post.
So Sony announced that they are testing compatibility with the PlayStation VR 2 headset on PC. In other words, allowing people who own a PSVR 2 to get additional value out of it by using it as a PC VR headset as well.
And Derek, can you clarify for me, because I'm like years behind on the VR conversation.
Yes.
Like years ago, there was like some exclusives for like Oculus and the
There
Index.
still
like,
occasionally are exclusives for
but generally, like
Oculus.
if you have a PC VR headset, you can just play PC VR games now. That's generally the situation.
Sort of. If you have an Oculus or Quest or
Yeah.
fucking Meta whatever product, you are set. Because basically every headset other than PSVR is compatible with the Steam VR protocols, meaning that VR games you buy on Steam, these headsets work with them. Oculus additionally does have its own exclusive store. 99% of those exclusives are Quest exclusives, not Oculus exclusives, meaning that like Resident Evil 4 VR, for example, I can't plug that into my PC and like buy it through an Oculus store. I have to buy it on the headset and play it on the headset. But grand scheme of things, like, yes, basically every similar-ish VR headset, like the Vive, like the what's the other It's a Steam. There was an HP one, the Reverb, I think it's called, and then the Oculus products all work with Steam VR. I would assume, because Sony did not go into details, that basically they're just testing to see if they can get their headset compatible with Steam VR. Because if it is, congratulations, that's all the work right there. And I would be willing to bet that it will happen. I
think it's like the topic is interesting for a couple reasons. One, because like there's been so much talk lately. We don't need to go into the Xbox stuff again, but like companies we're finally entering the post-console war era. It feels like, where it's like, we're not quite where in the promised land where like you can play everything on anything, but like the walls are coming down a little bit, where it's like they're seeing like, hey, maybe it doesn't make sense to like lock out millions of additional customers that we could potentially be reaching. And like these things are mutually exclusive. Like opening up, broadening our audience doesn't take away from our existing audience. It's additive. So like I'm thinking like they see it's kind of double. Like we were talking about it with Justin and Sam. Like I didn't know Sony's put out one first party title for the PSVR 2. Like that support has been non-existent, and that headset I have to imagine is underperforming. So like, there's not a lot of margin typically in hardware sales. So I don't think it's necessarily about selling more PSVR 2 units, but
I think there is more margin in VR headsets. I do think those are marked up a bit more.
I mean, I'm wrong all the time, but like the more interesting thing to me is like
You're not
kind of
wrong.
like backdoor and get the PC people like expand, sell more of those headset, increase your user base, and it makes it more economically viable for Sony to now say, hey, okay, now we open this up to PC. We sold an extra 2 million headsets. Here's our new install base. Now maybe it's not as risky to invest some of our studios in developing games for these. And I'm assuming their end goal, like they're doing with their PS5 games, is to get them onto PC as well.
Yeah. Well, let me put it this way, right? And I'm primarily a PC person, right? If I was looking at a VR headset right now, and I didn't already have one, and I had some money put aside, and I was thinking of getting one, you're now telling me that the PSVR 2 will work on my PC and on my PlayStation 5. Congratulations, you've guaranteed me that sale, right?
Yep.
Like you are now giving me a headset that works for more uses than any other headset on the market. You have the most versatile one. And that's a better position for Sony to be in, because it's better for their customers, because people who already bought a PSVR 2 now theoretically can also use it for PC gaming if they happen to also be PC gamers, which most people have more than one system, so that's not
Also,
far-fetched.
ownership is like 50% or more now.
Yeah. It means that people who own a PlayStation 5 but don't have a PSVR 2 yet now have more of a reason to invest in one, because it has more value to them, and it gets PC first players who might never have considered a PSVR to grab one, and thus invest also in buying games in Sony's ecosystem, right? Because like right now, I have no PSVR 2 games. Why would I? I don't have a PSVR 2. I'm not going to drop all that money on.
Right.
But, for something that can exist with all of my Steam games, okay, maybe I do check out that Horizon. I mean, I've got the headset already. So it's a good move. It's a smart move. I'm happy to see more and more cracks in the walled garden.
The only thing I have that's funny about it is it's not just that they've only come out with like the one first party game for it so far. They don't even have anything else on the horizon.
Yep.
Horizon.
Nothing else first party announced.
Nothing.
Like they're just like, here's the
I assumed I was
PSVR 2.
just out of the loop and hadn't been paying attention
No,
because I don't have one.
there's
And then they're like, no, there's nothing.
And most of the PSVR 2 games I've been seeing have been games that already exist on Steam, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's, hey, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is coming to PSVR 2. Cool. That's the reason everybody
It's like,
bought.
you got VR mode
That's the
for
killer app.
Resident Evil 4. It's like, here's the thing about that, actually.
Oh,
Did we
got
get a
mods.
PSVR
Not
2
just you.
port of Skyrim yet?
Oh, I was about to say yes, and I had to think about it.
If not, it's coming.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's coming.
But yeah, it's a small news story, and like there's not a ton of discussion to be had out of it. It's just good fucking news, and it's a good move, and it's a smart move. And I would like to take the moment to praise it. because it is
Yeah,
good
no,
for
like-
everybody.
If you like, I mean, if you like VR, then yes, absolutely, it's good news. I'm not the biggest fan of VR, so this isn't news for me. But I do think that I think it's good. I think it's good for PlayStation, especially.
I'm sorry, John. After all that gooning talk, you're going to say you're not a fan of VR?
No, I do my gooning in the real world there.
Oh God.
How are CJ and Justin missing this podcast?
You know, it is the wrong one to miss.
Right.
Hey, there ain't nothing virtual about the way I goon, brother. Like, shit, I feel like I'm entering the zone right now.
The goon
All
zone.
right, we gotta move on.
We
real
gotta go.
quick here.
We got to go.
Derek's planet needs him.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Go grab the jar of Josh doesn't know this. I'll tell it after the show. I don't want to take
no
up.
what the
You
jar.
can't
No
end
what
the sentence at the jar of after
The
gooning.
mystery
You
jar.
can't do
It's
that
a jar. It's his jar of goon juice.
because there's no way I'm not gonna assume it's a jar of cum. I'm just gonna say it. There's no
with
way
a
I can
figurine
assume
in it.
Anything with
no.
a My
Jar
Little
of
Pony
cum.
figurine.
No. So when we got together at the big charity get together last year in October,
Oh God! It was
of course,
a whole group experience.
yes, all 7 of us were there, and I don't remember who.
circle.
Every time we get together, a new word takes over and becomes the bullshit we can't stop making jokes about. And I don't remember who dropped the first gooning joke, but obviously that took over the entire rest of the visit. But here's the thing: I'd brought my pomade with me. My one hair product I'd brought is the pomade I've been using recently, which is Lockhart's Goon Grease. So I pulled out the jar with the little green guy with the pompadour going, ah! It's the Goon Grease. It's coming to
No,
PAX
Josh.
too, so
He is not a Dapper Dan, man.
No.
it's a great pomade, by the way. Anyone who wants a nice like medium hold pomade that doesn't have too strong of like a wet look, Lockhart's
some of
Goon
that
Grease,
Goon Grease.
the water based. It's got to be the water based, not the oil based.
I don't know.
It's
Sometimes I
fantastic.
like my gooning oil based, Derek.
You want the water based pomade. It rinses out in the shower without needing to shampoo, and that makes a big difference.
None of these words are in the Bible. And the
I'm
fact
giving-
that you then
I'm
tried to
giving
be
leg-
like,
I'll tell you what though.
Legitimate
the
hair
fact that
care
Jeff
tips.
just shared a picture, and you
It's got a
basically
heavy hold.
The fact that Jeff
It's
just
not that
showed
hard of a
picture, and you bought
Oh,
a
Derek.
fucking a jar of pomade with an NFT on it, just only
Derek.
makes it worse.
Derek, you misunderstand. Derek, it is
You
it's
bought
possible
a
to.
jar
you can-
of like goon grease from Crypto Bros, and you're trying to tell me
Josh.
that you want me to put that product in my hair?
That is the
Josh,
oil based.
Move over apes. We're
That-
in the age
kinda
of
like-
green
yeah,
goons now.
Josh,
All
have
my
you-
goons are
Josh,
gone.
have you? Josh, have you or have you not seen There's Something About Mary? You know what's up.
Yes, I have. And again, all my goons are gone.
Yeah.
What do you think that
All
fucking
of
goon
them.
grease
They've
is?
been taken.
And I want to counter something Derek said. Derek, you can hold that heavy goon for a long time. Okay, if you really really put your mind to it, you can that goon can have
Lockhart's
the
Goon
heaviest
Grease
hold.
again, though the water based, not the oil. This is the oil based right here.
That's what you want is an oil
Okay.
based.
No,
I'm
you want
sorry.
the water based.
Water's
I'm trying to give
cheap.
you genuine hair
Derek.
care tips.
Derek,
Use
Derek,
water based hair
Derek,
products. Do not
Derek.
use oil based.
Derek.
When Derek tells you
Derek.
about gooning, you listen. When he gives you
No,
tips
this
on
is
gooning,
hair
you
care.
Shut up.
This is
Derek.
cosmetics.
Derek,
Yes.
I know deep in your heart you believe that repeating to use water-based, oil-based, that whole thing. I know you believe in your heart. It adds legitimacy. We're talking about goon grease. I cannot stress enough that it, in fact, decreases the legitimacy. It makes it worse.
Oh,
I'll tell you what though. The nice thing about that goon grease, it has a real nice matte finish. It's not going to make you really slick and sheen looking. Like it definitely.
It's not a matte finish.
It's
It's definitely
it's
not a
not.
matte. I would use a
It's very
clay for a matte.
glossy.
It's
If
not.
I-
It's not super
if I-
glossy
real
either.
Piece of
glossy.
shit with slick back hair. I don't want to use this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not trying to look like that guy. Anyway, that's enough of an
Really-
aside.
All right,
Does it
time to
really
move the
help
conversation
highlight
on.
the veins.
Away from goon grease and
2024.
toward the real thing, baby. The
So,
act
folks,
itself.
Are we talking about Nintendo now?
among other things.
Because
We're
that
gonna
just
talk
feels
about-
like the right shift.
Yeah.
No.
We're going to talk about shit that we're hyped for in 2024,
Yes.
and we're going to mix it in with the recent partner boring case that just aired.
So here's the thing. We just had a series of reveals / news stories around 2024 this week, right? Like we had the Nintendo Direct, we had the big Elden Ring DLC. I mean, like that DLC is going to sell more than most games will,
Ooh,
right?
Probably.
We also got the story that the Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever the fuck they're going to call it has almost certainly been delayed out of this year and into early next year. This is not rumor and insider shit. This is like real news outlets and journalists reporting that this was due out this fall and is probably being pushed into the spring. So the thought that came to my head is we all know we're living through JRPG apocalypse right now, right? But once we get out of this, like this gauntlet of RPGs, what's coming up for the rest of the year? The rest of the year with no new Nintendo handheld that most of us were, I think, really anticipating a lot of the year's excitement being around.
Hey, there's a pretty cool game coming out next week. I'm hyped for it.
Yeah, well, that's part of the gauntlet, motherfucker. I don't know if you know, but that is in fact like one of the primary RPGs I'm talking about. That has us all by the short and curlies. But like I also gotta realize I don't know a lot of what's supposed to hit this year, right? I don't know a lot of what's been announced and not released past like March.
Honestly, like I've noticed from playing Fantasy Critic in the Discord, like I think companies have gotten really timid in terms of like missing those release dates now. Because I've noticed every year, the beginning of the year, when like we're doing our bids and stuff for our leagues, like looking at the games releasing that year, it's like you have a few games from like January to March, and then the rest of the year, it's like maybe some stuff or like things with like nebulous 2024 dates. But
Yeah. Because through March is wild, right? We've got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, obviously is going to be huge.
Right. Yeah.
We have a new Vanillaware game, Unicorn Overlord, which is going to be like a cult thing, but it's going to be a hardcore cult favorite. Everything Vanillaware is like a big deal. We have Dragon's Dogma 2 hitting in March.
Crossed, it's as gay as 13 Sentinels.
Is it really? Is it that soon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. March 22.
real soon.
Shit.
It happens while we're in PAX, which is homophobic. We have Princess Peach Showtime. We have Rise of the Ronin, which is that Team Ninja Sony published game that people are very excited for. Like, there's a lot of big stuff hitting through March. And then after that, I'm just realizing like I don't know what's fucking coming. So
In April is Ayuden Chronicle, 100 Hero.
that's the Suikoden spiritual successor.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what I said. I basically went into this year saying I've got rapid fire from the beginning of the year through April. 3 games.
Speaking, where the fuck are the Suikoden remasters? God damn it!
Right. My current belief is they're either going to release it right before or right after Ayuden drops to try and.
When does Ayuden come out again? Is that March?
April.
April?
26. I maybe just be making.
They
that up.
delayed this shit in November, Josh, and we haven't heard a single fucking thing about it.
No, John. I went and looked it up. The last time they said anything about Suikoden 1 and 2 remake, it was 2022. Konami, if you go to Konami's website and you type in Suikoden on the search bar,
Josh, there's an official account for Suikoden.
I know.
And I'm not to say that you're wrong, but I remember them saying in November we've delayed this shit. Let me. I'm gonna check.
Go look, but I'm telling you right now, if you go on the actual Konami website, in fact, I'm gonna pull it up right now because I remember I saw the exact date and I was like, Jesus.
Okay,
Christ,
so I was wrong. It's August. In August of 2023, they said that they were delaying it into 2024. That's the last that the official Suikoden account
Right, and
anything to
that's the
say about it.
Suikoden account, is what I'm saying.
Right.
To give you an idea of the communication, if you go to Wait, what?
Hmm.
Hold on. Do they have anything more on here?
They just announced a release date just now. What?
That
No.
would be the funniest thing.
No,
it
if
didn't
you go
happen.
to the no.
Hold on, my
If you go to
sources are
Konami's
hold on.
no.
I'm on the
If you
phone
go
with
to
my
Konami's
sources.
website, they have like the rotating screen of like here's things looking forward to, whatever. The second dot on the screen is Suikoden 2 HD or Suikoden HD remaster, Gate Rune, and Dune and Unification Wars. And if you click on it, it brings you to a splash page that shows you the two logos. It shows you PS4, Xbox One, Steam, and Switch, and then it's just the note that they're delaying it into
Yeah, of course it
2024.
is. Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, whenever we
Um,
find out what a release date is, I cannot fucking wait.
There's
like-
there's
but-
shockingly little.
And then
well-
beyond that, it's Luigi's Mansion 2 HD.
No-
and
no
Thousand
release
Year
date on
Door.
that.
No release date, but they're supposed to be this year.
Yeah, there's
Like,
a lot of stuff that's this year, but there's no
Yeah.
indication when it's coming.
I was gonna say Microsoft, I think, has a few. Of course, I got to mention Flight Simulator 2024 is coming this year.
Right.
But I
would hope.
believe Avowed has a 2024 date.
I think last we
And-
heard, yeah.
Yeah, and Indiana Jones, I'm pretty sure when it was announced, is supposed to be this year as well, 2024. So whether you believe those are arriving this year, and I think Indiana
Yeah.
Jones I could see hitting. I feel like that one might be ready because I think Machine Games has been working on it for long enough.
That one I
um,
wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, but
We mentioned, of
I mean,
course,
Sandland.
Microsoft's had a rough
Sandland.
road to releasing games the last 5 or 10
here's
years.
the question:
so-
is Sandland going to have a budget, or is it going to be?
It'll have a budget. I thought it looked great from what we've seen. I mean, I love Tarjeta art.
I would
The
love
good
for it
news
to
is
have
it'll-
more budget than
the
it's.
the
Here's
good
it's
news is
Bandai
it'll have a
Namco.
budget. The bad news is like I could afford the budget.
Yeah, I don't.
That's
Um.
the bad news is the budget is $17.
Yeah, it's crazy because once you get past March, like the games with release dates that are like notable, right? Not like licensed bullshit and not smaller indie titles, right? And to be
Or
fair,
even,
like
there's a
I
lot
love
of
the
remakes and
indies.
remasters coming too, which is like fine, I'll play them. But
Yeah.
like Until Dawn,
Whatever.
that game came out already.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
a lot of
Here's where I
ports.
talk about Dawn Trail. All
Yeah.
right, guys. Expansion to the award-winning MMO Final Fantasy 14 Dawn
Shut
Trail
up.
comes
John,
out
you
this
know we
summer.
can mute you. We have the power.
I'm gonna do it.
Hey, look, hey, motherfuckers! It is something
Hey,
I'm
John,
excited about that
Saga.
comes out this year.
Saga Emerald Beyond. That has a date. That's April 25th.
Right.
That's
And
shockingly
also,
soon.
Dawn Trail has a release window, bitch. So guess what? It falls within the criteria.
Wow, Final Fantasy 14's getting an expansion this year? Nobody could have
yeah, it
fucking
is.
guessed that. Next
Guess
you're gonna
what?
tell me
And
there'll
guess
be a
what?
Madden this
Guess
year.
what? The segment is shit we're hyped about.
That's
and
true.
I'm hyped about it. So guess what, Derek? Guess what? I'm gonna fucking talk about it. I either talk about this or I goon.
Well, you've put us in an impossible situation here.
No,
I'm hovering
there's
over
an easy
remove from
choice.
group. I'm hovering over
No,
remove from group.
in all seriousness, my most anticipated game this year is Visions of Mana.
Yeah, and I mean we know that's gonna hit sometime in like the summerish probably.
I think probably spring. To be honest with you, Derek. I
Yeah.
think it's probably spring.
It's hard because like I said, there's a lot that is coming. But honestly, even looking at the list of games
Like
that
John.
don't have dates,
From all the gooning.
a lot of this stuff, like there's not a lot of like really big games on here. I feel
Well,
like
also-
you go ahead.
go ahead. No,
Uh,
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like we're getting to a point where we're really gonna need more of these companies to like finally start announcing some new shit, because we've been playing catch up for a while. We've been waiting for shit to get released that was announced years ago, and we're finally running out of stuff that was announced years ago. I think I'm scared there's not stuff to announce.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Which, mind you, I'm not sitting here like we're gonna see the death of gaming or anything fucking crazy like that. But especially, and this is like, walk with me with what I'm saying. It's not that I'm not hyped for the rest of this year. I already told you. I've got 2 possible Game of the Year candidates for me
Yeah.
still to come out. But we're going to see less releases just in general moving forward a bit compared to not just the beginning of this year, but even last year, which had plenty of stuff. Because, like, I saw that whole direct and I'm like, okay, it was a partner direct, so it's supposed to be focused on Nintendo partners. Y'all ain't even announce a new Fire Emblem game coming or something like that. Okay. And it's not, granted, Nintendo is not really doing layoffs or anything like that. But the reason I'm saying it is we saw COVID fucked up the works a while back, which had to have impacted the starts of development cycles that would be still playing in and now for some long-term things. And then we've been seeing layoff after layoff after layoff after layoff. You're telling me that none of these games are going to start seeing timelines affected? So I think that they very much so know, oh shit, our stuff is getting delayed and we don't want to announce it now and miss our target date. So we're just not announcing shit, and we're letting the deluge of shit that's already set to come buy us some time.
Well, and to me, I think the other thing is like COVID fucked up development cycles, but like also like games went fucking ham during COVID, or like Switch sales and stuff like that. And then we know like there was so much hiring, and now we've seen all the layoffs. So I think like not just gaming, like the tech sector in general, but like especially gaming, like the big companies are really belt tightening, and I think are being very careful with what they greenlight. And like, I hate to say it because I love games, there might be almost too many games. Like,
Yeah.
Look at the
sometimes,
situation we're in now.
yeah, but like people's time is limited, and like even if every like live service game that released was fucking incredible, people are only going to play one or two of them. Like at some point, not every game can succeed. And I hate to say it, like I think there's a lot of room out there for a ton of different types of games. And the people that do succeed are going to be the ones that find a unique way to set themselves apart and know the audience that they're searching for. But like inevitably, like there's just so many fucking games. And like people are also, I'm going to be wrong again, because when COVID happened, I was like, oh man, everyone just got laid off from their job. Nobody's going to fucking buy games. And then records were set. So I'm like, all right, I'll eat crow. But like shit's expensive right now. Like people have limited money and limited time. And
well, there were some factors back then though, like with the unemployment was just in general easier to get. They had that extra unemployment insurance for a while that the government was providing. There was
got them
stimulus
stimmy checks.
And everyone was at home with nothing to do. And it's like, I'm
Right.
depressed. I'm going to play some games.
Right now, there's none of that. And even just as far as like, oh shit, I'm having difficulty finding a job, let me just go get regular ass employment to make ends meet. That's not even happening. So like, and everything's getting more expensive. Yeah. So, like, I will flatly say, the only reason I said there's 3 Game of the Year contenders for me, the only reason I'm able to even play all 3 of those games to afford it easily is I got a copy of Infinite Wealth directly, as an influencer from Sega from streaming, and I paid for Ayuden Chronicle back when that shit was kickstarted. I wouldn't have the money just be thrown out. Hey, here's $90, here's $80, here's $70, here's $80 month after month.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm also going to say, like, good time to be experimenting with the model of game pricing, because I picked up Helldivers 2 for 43 Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking good deal.
Can I also say,
shit has gone.
And this ties into
into
something Jeff said earlier, talking about live service games. It's been good to see Helldivers 2 pop off, because it's been a combination of all the things I want to see most, right? Where it's like attractively priced, like, because they understand the like scope of the game that they made and they kept it in check. It released on PlayStation and PC simultaneously and was hugely successful because of that, in a way that hopefully sends a good message to Sony. Yeah, successful to the point that they just can't keep up with it.
I love that. I love that the dev lead, or I'm sorry, the head of the studio was like, yeah, don't buy our game until we fix this shit.
Yeah,
legit.
Like, yeah,
I respect. But it's also been frustrating to see a ton of people point at Helldivers and go, like, see live service games do succeed, and it's like, okay, if you're gonna ignore all the other live service games that have already launched this year, or games with live service elements that have fallen flat on their face, sure. Helldivers 2 kind of proves the point that, like, one of these fucking things comes out and sucks up all the oxygen. And it is brutally competitive, and only one out of every so many will ever be allowed to build up enough, because it's a zero-sum game.
No one is jumping between Skull and Bones and Suicide Squad and Helldivers and Fortnite and Destiny every night.
No, and it's not like here's the thing. I didn't get Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth at launch, but the nice thing is there's no problem with me coming back to that in a month or two and picking it up and playing it. That won't be the case for something like Skull and Bones. If I decide to get into Skull and Bones 6 months from now and it didn't catch on, it's fucking dead.
Derek,
yes.
Derek, are you going to get into Skull and Bones?
No, absolutely not. What do I look like, a fucking rube? Of course I'm not getting into Skull and Bones.
So here's the thing. No matter what happens this year, it's going to feel like a letdown for a lot of people. Not because it's actually going to be a bad year for games, but because 2023 was so fucking awesome for actual games. Yes, it was absolutely terrible for the people who make them. But as far as releases go, 2023 was a tough year to beat.
I think you can thread the needle through everything you're saying, though, right? Because really, what we're seeing right now, because we arbitrarily chop time up into years, right? But what we're seeing now is simply a continuation through March of this insane release schedule that we've had since spring of last year, before things start to, it appears, dry up. And we have good reason to believe it'll dry up because, I mean, we know that Nintendo's in kind of a tight spot. They don't have a lot announced, and they've had to last minute move their new console out of the year, which means that we're likely going to see a bit of a dry spell comparatively from them. Sony's flat out said they don't have any of their big franchises coming this year.
And I mean, like, you can see these things coming. Like, part of it is just timing. Like, you had a bunch of Sony first-party releases in the last couple of years. They only have a finite number of studios, so you can infer when these games take 5 to 7 years to make now, you're going to be going a little while without, which is like, again, now's a great time to experiment with pricing. Now's a great time to bring back AA games, right? Bring back the games that take 2 to 3 years to make, reasonable budget, reasonable team. And I think people will play them.
And it's funny you mentioned that after bringing up Sony, because Sony has that exact model experience to dive off of. Yep. They make Infamous. It's a big deal. It's this big, huge game. They make Infamous Second Son, and it's really successful. They make Spider-Man. Big deal. Everyone loves it. They make Spider-Man Miles Morales, and it's really successful, where they say, let's take something we know we have that works and make a focused 15 to 20 hour adventure that you can buy off the shelf for $30, $40. And that shit, it does gangbusters every time. And then they're like, well, we're not going to do it again for like the next 4 years. Fucking why?
Yeah. We had Uncharted 4, and then we had that Uncharted
Lost Legacy.
Lost Legacy.
Which was excellent.
Yeah.
And they did the same with Ratchet 2016. I think that was like $40.
God of War Valhalla just happened. You're telling me they couldn't come out with God of War A Son's Tale for $40 and it's a 15 to 20 hour adventure focusing on Atreus?
I think part of the problem is we know that Sony tried to transition to being a very live service heavy games company. And there has not been anything that has come of that. And we've kind of heard that a lot of that got shit canned.
I think
that's a big reason we haven't got much for PSVR 2. Like, I think a lot of those like second teams that would have been on that were put on the live service stuff.
Yeah.
Are you trying to demean the name of Anthem?
Yeah.
That's a name I've not heard in a long time.
How dare you?
So you actually got me thinking. So talking about live service games and especially bringing up Anthem got me thinking about something that I'm wondering.
Can I say I still have not seen gameplay of that game to this day? I don't fucking know what you do.
You're not.
You can tell me
you mostly Iron Man fly. I think.
No, you could tell me you log in, you customize your suit, and then that guy in the robo suit goes to a desk and plays fucking Mario's Picross, and that's the whole game. And I would believe you. I have no idea.
Ostensibly, the last expansion for Destiny 2 is coming this year, called like The Last Light or Lightfall or The Last Stand or some shit like that, right?
The Legend of Curly's Gold.
How many fucking titles?
I don't fucking know. It's one of those things. I haven't played Destiny
2
in like 5
Reloaded.
years. I could not begin to tell you what's happening.
To
I
Destiny,
know that,
to last.
I know that
No, we
got to
go into the generic subtitle territory. Destiny 2 Revelations.
Right.
Yeah, like Destiny
Lightborn.
Origins, but the only thing I know about Destiny anymore is that you're apparently still fighting the same alien races that you did in 2013, which whatever.
Well, it's a war, John.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Here's my question.
Mario's still fighting Bowser, dude.
I was about to say.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't get
Everyone
boring.
just lost their mind. Everyone just lost their mind at Ganondorf all fucking over again last year.
Dog's
So
playing
Final shape.
Oh my God! This is a Zelda game. We get to fight Ganon.
Years.
That's what it's called. The final shape. Thank you, Delaby. It's the final shape.
Is it actually called the final shape? I refuse to accept. What is the final shape?
If you played the game, you would know.
It's a 6-sided square.
That's not actually.
20-sided line.
Nope.
But
actually,
when this happened, so here's my question.
That's a Septagon.
Destiny 2 has been struggling as of late, right?
it could be. I don't fucking know.
Well, I mean, Bungie's been plagued by layoffs. Fans are unhappy with the game in general. What's next for Destiny in 2024? By the
Destiny 3.
does that game see any further updates throughout the rest of the year? Is there even going to be a Destiny 3? Roar and Otto in chat says the last expansion was not well received. Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
Sorry,
go
John.
ahead.
No, I was gonna say that, so Destiny, I fell off Destiny. I played it at launch. I actually reviewed it for us when we were still doing written reviews. I liked it. I liked the vanilla game. But Destiny is one of those things where it's really hard to read the room. People will tell you the game is dead, but there's still a shitload of people playing it, a lot more than you want. So I think Destiny 2 is doing fine. The issue with the layoffs and stuff is that Destiny 2, it's like the Square thing years ago when they had a prediction for one of the Tomb Raider games selling 15 million copies. It's that was not realistic. And so what we heard with Destiny 2 with the layoffs is it was 45% below their expected revenue. That doesn't mean that no one's playing it or the game's dead. It just, I don't know. Maybe they're
we've kind of talked about this before, right? The problem is with a lot of these, and especially has been the problem with Destiny, is that it makes way more money than they spend on it, but that money is not as high as the projected imaginary number. Therefore, it's bad because that's the way capitalism works. Is if you only make 15% more money than you spent and you don't hit 22%, if your owner doesn't get the EBITDA he wants, then you get layoffs.
So I think for John's question, my understanding, because I've got quite a few friends who are super deep into the game, there's two sides. Officially, and I believe it, and everyone is planning for it. I'm sure the whole team's working on it. They're still making expansions. There's still seasons. The game's continuing as is. There's still no plans for Destiny 3. They're still going on with Destiny 2. That's the plan. But the reality, I think, is, and I have to imagine most people agree, is this expansion, if this one also underperforms, if they still can't retain players, and to me, their big fucking problem is I do not think they're bringing in any new players. I think they started with a pool like this, and they're bleeding slowly over time. But if you have no organic growth, how the fuck all these companies want is growth and revenue increases. If you're not bringing in new people, how are you ever going to grow your game? So I'm really interested. Of course, I hope the best for the team and the game. I think this expansion needs to do well, because if it doesn't, and if it's more of the same, I would be interested to see what the future of the game looks like.
It's just I've been thinking about it more and more, not because I'm not going to go back to the game. I have no interest anymore. But Destiny 2 4 years ago was everybody was talking about Destiny. Everybody was playing Destiny. Everybody was talking about Destiny. And I never really hear much about Destiny anymore. And I know that there's been a lot of ill will towards the game. There's been a lot of, discontent from players. Like Roranado said, the last expansion was not well received, which I had remembered hearing.
Well, and Roranado's also other point, the story's so impenetrable now. They removed the base campaign plus an expansion, right? It's been talked to death, but yes, the original Destiny 2 campaign that launched, the main story is gone.
Why? What? How the fuck?
And it's not like it was replaced. Is the thing?
It's just straight up gone.
It would literally be if Dawn Trail came out and they were to get new people into our game, you come in halfway through Heavensward, and it's well,
which
fucking
to be
pause.
fair, some people would be sweet, but you're missing a big chunk of the story.
But also you're vaulting content that I've paid for.
Yes,
I've paid for this shit. Why can't I play the base game anymore? I paid $60 for this shit. Like, that is fucking that is wild. I did not know that.
There's excuses. Like, I guess it was a technical limitation, but like, also straight up, like I bought Forsaken and they removed it before I could play it. To my knowledge, there's no precedent for a game removing like the scope of the content they've removed from this in the manner that they did. I've never heard of it before, even in an MMO.
I've heard of them, like the idea of like vaulting like weapons or things like that. And it's like, it's a balance thing, this, that, the other. Okay. No, you're just wholesale being like, you can't do shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like the closest I could think of is like games that used to be online only, where they're like, we're shutting down the servers, but at least then there's a palpable reason, like, this is why you can't play the game you bought anymore. Like, in this case, it's there.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not trying to shit on the game. Like, I'm like frustrated because like, if this expansion comes out, and what if this expansion is fucking amazing and fixes all the problems with the game?
It is.
Like,
people aren't gonna.
I'm still not gonna be able to play it because the game is just impenetrable.
So here's what's funny, right? Because like we were talking about, like is Destiny 2's failing all this stuff. Destiny 2 is still one of the most played games on Steam.
And that's what I said earlier, right? Like it's like people say the game like it's not doing the revenue they want. That doesn't mean no one's playing it. I guarantee you a shitload of people
It's actually really funny because I'm looking, and like a comparison I could make is Overwatch 2 is actually also doing like extremely well in terms of its like current player base.
Doing, Derek, while you're looking,
I'm probably horribly. But like it's so funny because we're talking about how huge Persona 3 Reload, has been huge for Sega, right? Tekken 8 has been a huge release, one of the biggest releases for a fighting game in ages. And they're not doing anywhere close to Destiny numbers, like right the fuck now.
That's a different kind of genre, though. Like fighting is a lot more niche still,
right? But that's my point. That it's all like a confidence game, kind of. Like we're kind of Destiny is stuck where it has to be graded against the peak of what Destiny used to be, which is a thing that so few games will ever reach, even temporarily. So now Destiny has settled into being only one of the most played games in the world every single day. And that's not enough. It's fucking wild. Monster Hunter World is doing better than Destiny, though. Capcom is killing it with that Return to World campaign. Anyway,
so I've got one more question about 2024, guys, and it revolves around the PS5 Pro, which we all know is a thing that is definitely going to happen sometime this fall or winter.
Seems like it's coming this year.
I am decidedly lukewarm on this to much more of a degree than I was the PS4 Pro. Like the PS4 Pro, I felt like, okay, this sounds like a reasonable enough upgrade to where like I'm not happy about it, but I'm going to get it. But they're not even using all the potential of the PS5 yet. Like I don't feel.
I disagree. We've had 30 FPS only games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is, I guess, running it all just over 1080p and it's looking a little blurry. Like we're not in the same horrible situation of like Assassin's Creed Unity running at 15 frames per second, but I think like definitely there's justification for the niche audience.
It feels wrong because for most of us, it doesn't feel like we're this many years into the PlayStation 5. That's what it is. Like
because we're 6 months removed from dropping cross-gen.
Right.
Well,
and that's what it is.
And also because it is like, people had difficulty getting their hands on consoles at the beginning of basically every launch ever, but not like this last generation. Like nothing we've dealt with before matched what it was like getting a PS5 for the entire first 2 years of its existence. Well, like any other one, it would be like a year, and by the second Christmas, you're good.
Well, Josh, it also comes down to like engines, right? Like for whatever reason, Square is still leading on Unity for games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
And they make a new engine.
Rebirth is not made in fucking Unity. There's no way.
I got bad news for you, friend.
Is it really?
Yep.
That is the funniest shit I've ever heard.
And what I'm sorry, Rebirth is UE4. It's still not great.
Okay. Bitch, I was gonna say
Still not
Derek
great.
was like, were
I
they
knew it wasn't you.
challenged? Was,
Yeah.
was there a
But-
bet made in the back room?
But
Yeah.
UE4 is still not a great choice for Square. They've traditionally struggled with that engine. But look at the fucking launch game. Look at the game that launched with the PS5, like the Demon Souls Blue Point remake. It's one of the, still to this day, one of the best looking, best running games. The Shadow of the Colossus remake, one of the best looking, best running games on that entire platform. And you're telling me that, I'm sorry, but there are games out there, and I think, Final Fantasy VII remake and Rebirth are among them that are not fully tapping the potential of this console.
Well, I
Not
think
the way
that
other
also has to
developers
do with
have.
what Jeff just said, that they held on so long to the cross-gen situation, which also probably ties into they saw how hard it was for people to get their hands on the consoles, and it was all self-defeating.
And our earlier conversation about development cycles, like if you're just starting to make a PS5 only game, not cross-gen, you decided to start that last year, it's going to release 2 years before the PS6 releases. Like, because we're out of our fucking mind.
There's a couple of factors.
So it's one of those things where they haven't been able to get the most out of the system because they haven't actually been trying to get the most out of the system.
Yeah.
Demon Souls got the most out of the system because they said, no, we are purely focused on this architecture.
Well, but also here's the thing, because there's a couple of factors going on here, right? We're in a very different world. We said last generation, right? PlayStation 4 and Xbox One were the first time that the main like powerhouse consoles were effectively made with off-the-shelf PC parts, right? That's not exactly true, but like they were made with regular gaming PC architecture where we could very easily compare them to the shit that was already in people's computers, right? That's part of what made unified development between the two so easy. It's what made having pro versions of those systems so easy because they just put newer, better hardware that ran on an architecture that we've been dealing with forever. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X did the same thing. They're still using, and it's the correct move, PC hardware and architecture, basically. So we can look at the PlayStation 5 and compare that to, like, we have a good frame of reference for that, and we do know that, like, yeah, we are bumping up against some of the limits on what this thing could run. But it feels weird, like Jeff said, because we're only finally starting to leave cross-gen, and cross-gen was capable for so much longer than previously, because if you wanted a game to be on PS3 and PS4 3 years after the PS4 came out, you were still developing around the fucking Cell processor, right? Now, you can scale most games down and just run them worse on a PS4. And realistically, when the PS6 finally hits, that cross-gen
next year
period is going to be several years. You won't have to, if you're not trying to have the newest, shiniest box, good news, my PS5 is going to play the vast majority of PS6 games for the first couple years. That's actually a good thing for most people.
Yes,
but it's a thing we have to adapt to.
But one other thing I want to say is, Bobo4750 in chat said, I'd also argue that there hasn't really been a game that's really felt next gen.
I was literally going to bring that exact comment up.
My
Josh,
thought there is, I think we also all have to recalibrate what next gen feels like. See, to me,
exactly.
I have already had the feeling of, oh, this is next gen. You know when I had it? When I was playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I went to do fast travel, and I was just fucking there, and there was no loading. But graphically, like there's not going to be. We have every other.
The leaps are smaller every generation.
Diminishing returns, right?
NES to SNES was massive. SNES to N64 was massive.
Well, you also
GameCube, massive.
you also,
and it's been slimmer and slimmer margins. It's not going to be that anymore.
But here's the thing. What we think of as next gen needs to fucking change anyway, right? Like whenever we talk about next gen, we talk about, oh, visually this doesn't feel next gen. But I'll tell you right now, the most next gen ass feeling game I've ever played was fucking Shadow of Mordor with the goddamn Nemesis system. Like, I had never seen some shit like that before. And to be honest with you, we haven't
Go ahead.
seen some shit like that since.
I was about to say,
And-
and you can thank Warner Brothers for the fact that we haven't seen it since.
Hey, we'll get it in that
And
Wonder
is
Woman
that,
game.
that right there.
Well, no, because
you
they
are actually
trademarked the Nemesis system.
Yeah.
when you are actually doing something from a gameplay perspective that has never been done before, that to me defines next
Right.
gen.
It's just like
The,
how we can thank Namco for the fact that there were no fucking playable little mini games and shit and loading screens.
I mean, we're kind of like all over the place with topics, but like since we're talking about the PS5 Pro, like my only other thought on it really is like, I don't think it's going to be justified in the same way that PS4 Pro is, because like I mentioned, like that one we were going from like games on the base PS4 at 900p, already struggling to hit 30. I think the niche market for this is going to be even smaller because like, yes, we do have some 30 FPS only games on PS5, but like generally most stuff still has a performance mode. Where PS4 Pro was like, hey, you want to play games at a lock 30 or maybe 60 FPS? PS5 Pro might be like, hey, do you miss like the early cross-gen PS5 games that had 100 FPS modes? The PS5 Pro is how you get that back. But there is far less people who care about 100 FPS than there is that care about 60, because a lot of people like, and to be fair, like once you get above 60, it's the same thing. It's diminishing returns. Like I can see the difference between 60 and 90. It is not the same as 30 and 60. So like, yeah, like, and I don't know what Sony's expectations are for that, but these are niche products. No one has to buy it. And I think honestly, Sony with the PS4 and PS4 Pro, a lot of people were worried that like games would be coded to the Pro and run like shit on PS4. To my knowledge, pretty much every first party game ran and looked great on the base PS4. It just ran and looked better on the PS4 Pro.
Oh no, Jeff, you have to buy it. Jim Ryan's going to show up at your fucking house.
You
have to buy it.
They're actually going to
one
show up
game
at your
I can
house
tell
and
you.
take your Xbox and put a PS5 Pro in instead.
There is one
damn.
game that I can say released for PS4 like base that, or PS4 in general, that would run on a Pro and basically wouldn't even run on base. And that's Cyberpunk. So
Yeah.
There's a few
That's
special cases,
different.
for sure. Yeah.
Special case.
Yeah.
Special case, because it also just didn't run for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
It barely ran on fucking
right, that's what I was
like
like.
NASA supercomputers.
And I love the game, but The Last Guardian. I don't even think that ran well
Yeah,
on PS4
The Last
Pro.
Guardian
It
did
did
not.
All right, Derek, why don't you take us home, buddy?
All right, folks, as a reminder, we have a lovely little Discord community you can join. We're
Lovely as fuck.
around 400 people. I don't remember the exact number, but it's a great, heavily moderated, safe space for nerdy folks of all different kinds to come and discuss the things that make them tick. Great little community. You can support us either by supporting us on Patreon or by subbing to us here on Twitch. Just a reminder, none of our content is ever going to be money locked. We are not gating anything behind a Patreon tier, but that helps us afford to do things like go to PAX, right, and do interviews, or travel and get together to do the big charity streams, stuff like that. And replace failing equipment, which John may be half of his office, who knows. The other final thing I have is, as a reminder, why did the link not copy? Because it did it wrong. Damn, hang tight. No, I
God
thought I was
damn it,
going to have this
Derek.
lined up. I did it wrong.
Derek.
We have...
Anyway, I've got some jokes I can tell.
No, we have a, theoretically, a panel at PAX East. It's waitlisted. Waitlisted, but I do need to proceed as if it's going to happen, because the last thing I want is to not have it put together and then they'd be like, hey, y'all want to do a fucking panel? But we're planning out a panel for the best boys of Final Fantasy, and I need votes. So I just posted the link in chat.
On the fucking panel. Approve
Ben
it.
Starr will be on it. Please vote on who if you voted in the first round, this is the second and final round. So if you already voted before, still check that link. Vote on the best boys of Final Fantasy. The winner may shock you. I guess if we don't get a panel, we'll just get Ben on and we'll do like a pre-recorded thing. We'll have fun with it one way or another.
Yeah, whatever. We're still going to PAX.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's the thing. We'll be at PAX. So if you're going to PAX, fucking see us, link up with. We'll be easy to spot because hang on,
he's gonna. Oh, I know what he's got.
motherfucking
The goon jar.
custom face masks.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So all the SDGC crew will be rocking custom SDGC face masks. So
Let's hope
you'll
they
be
don't
able to
get
spot
mixed
us
up.
from a mile away. Anyway, Yeah, but
All right.
come say hi. Tons of people have told us that they've seen us and they were like too intimidated to come up and talk to us. We've had fucking actors tell us that they were afraid to come up and talk to us because we seem busy, and it's like, no, please don't. We're dipshits. And
I feel like some of that is my fault, Derek, because I think I just look scary.
yes, you do, but that's beside the point. So
Please come up and hug me. I look very intimidating, but I'm not. You can't miss me. I'm very big. Come say hi and give me a hug.
John, you can't ask people to please come up and hug you while you're in Goon. I just need you to know. You gotta pick one or the while you're in Goon mode.
Oh no. I'm turning.
You gotta
Goon
pick
mode
one
off.
or the other.
I'm turning Goon mode
You
off.
either get Goon mode or you get hugs. You do not get
SDGC ball gags win.